Oh my gosh, I am so cold. I had to put up a virtual fire on our updates page just to keep me warm. Remember, if you don't know, I live in an old house and it is cold outside. And unfortunately, we don't have snow days for Virtual Academy. So, hope you take advantage of the weather and stay home and curl up and read your novel this week. So, what we are doing now, clicking on materials, we are working on the next session of Unit 4, and I want to be very clear that this is due before Thanksgiving break, which is the 23rd. All this work can be done within the week before break starts. During the break, there is no work assigned. Schoology is still open and running, so you can work on any late work from Unit 4, and you can also keep reading if you want to. If you do keep reading, be sure to also keep another reader response journal or note. Like I mentioned before, you're going to be doing that for every quarter of the novel. So if you do read ahead, just make sure that you're keeping those notes or that response journal as you go. And also during that week, even though Schoology is up and running and our classroom is still up and running, I am not available. So you are on vacation, I'm on vacation too. So do be aware of that as well, okay? So click on Unit 4. Session 2, again, is due before Thanksgiving break. Click on the session plan. And what we're doing this week is we're continuing our study of fiction. And this image over here is related to Kill a Mockingbird. I'm going to be adding a new image every week in this session, or actually in this unit, excuse me. So this week you will be reading the next quarter of your novel. So by the end of this week, you should be halfway through your novel, and you're asking, you should be, thinking about all the things that are going on, like character and setting and conflict. That's what we talked about, focusing on last week. What we're going to be doing this week is we are going to first do our discussion this week. Usually we save our discussion till the end of the session, right? Because you're reading. Well, this session, our discussion is first because I want you to reflect and think about what you've read. I want you to make some personal connections, ask questions about things that are confusing or intriguing. So that discussion is actually the first thing that we're going to be doing this week. We're going to also be doing our second reader response journal and also a character analysis. So we're really diving into all these literary terms that we're going to be using when we start writing our literary analysis next week. Okay? So if I scroll down here, you can see that's what I talked about just a minute ago. You can see our checklist of things that are due and the point value, as well as the suggested schedule. So like I mentioned, first thing you always do, watch the video, right? And you can start your reading of the next quarter of the novel and keep your reader response journal as you go. It's a lot easier to complete that assignment, and it's meant to be kept as you go, as you read, okay? But the first thing you do as you're reading, post to the discussion board, like I mentioned before. This is going to be an opportunity for you to reflect on what you've been reading and learning so far. So post to the discussion board on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday, go back and respond to the discussion. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, keep reading and keep those response journals as you read. Finally, on Friday, you'll finish up the reading and then submit your second reader response journal. Remember that you need to choose a different reader response graphic organizer every week. I gave you 6 different options, and I want you to try them all out. And the reason that I want you to try them all out is because you need to figure out what you like, and you need to know what's out there, and that's what this is all about, okay? So also on Thursday, submit that reader response journal. And then on Friday, work on your character analysis, which I'll go over in a second. So click Next in the upper right-hand corner, as always. Here are the essential questions that are guiding our learning this week. So at the end of the week, you should be able to go back to these questions and say, yeah, we did talk about that, didn't we? Okay, so again, here is that novel discussion. And what I want you to do is write a 1-paragraph personal reaction to the book so far. What connections can you make to the text? What thoughts and emotions have you about the action that the book has had so far? You can also ask questions about any part of the book that's confusing or intriguing to you, okay? And then your group members will help you take it to a deeper analysis. Now remember, not everyone is reading the same novel in our discussion group. Oh, I didn't mention that part. We don't have enough people in each of the novel groups to have different discussion boards. So we're just gonna have one discussion board for the class. Try to respond to someone who is reading your novel, but you don't have to. The questions are designed in a way that you can respond to anyone who is reading any novel, okay? So in your paragraph personal reaction though this week, or your questions, I want you to focus on one of the 3 literary terms that I asked you to focus on as you were reading last week. Last week I asked you to focus on setting, characters, and conflict. When you write your response, I want you to include at least one of those literary terms in your questions or in your paragraph response, okay? And if you click on that link will just bring you back to session 1 where I gave you more information on all 3 of those literary terms, okay? So you'll go ahead and do that here. And then you're going to start reading. You're going to start reading the 2nd quarter of your novel, and you should be again halfway done as the week ends. Remember to keep that reader response journal as I mentioned earlier. Last week you focused on setting and conflict and characters. This week we are going to be focusing on one of your main characters. So as you're reading this week, focus on your main character. There might be 1 or 2. Pick one and then focus on that main character and how they develop and grow in the book so far, okay? So that's your focus as you're reading. Here is the assignment for reader response notes. It's the same thing from the last session. So pick one of these graphic organizers that you have not used, that you did not use last week, and keep that reader response journal or note as you are reading this week. Submit that here when you are done. And then finally, our last assignment this week is a character analysis mind map. So what you're going to do is you're going to focus on one character, one of the main characters, and you need to develop 4 character traits. Bravery, honesty, naive. Those are all characteristics of a character. But what in the novel gave the reader that impression? What did they do? What did they say that gave you the impression that that character was brave, for example? Okay, so the character would go there, the traits are right there, and then you could see at least 3 examples from the book, specific examples, details, along with page numbers from the book if possible. I know some of you are doing this, from online, that show you that those examples made you think that that's what the character was, okay? So you can do this a couple of ways, and here are directions on how to create your own character analysis, along with a video that will help you kind of walk you through that process, okay? And then you submit your character analysis into the Dropbox right here. When you're done with your character analysis, you're halfway through the book now. And next week, like I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on more literary terms as far as theme go and how they impact your understanding of the text. And we're also going to start our study of the literary genre, of the genre literary analysis. Okay? I hope you guys have a great week. Stay warm. I'm trying to. And I will see you soon. Thanks.